So using drugs and drug money as a means of winning a power struggle, whether it be with the Sandinistas in Central America or with groups of people here at home on our own streets. Joining me from Austin, Texas to delve into the many aspects of this is radio host Alex Jones. Alex, I know you've interviewed Ricky Ross yourself. What did you take away in terms of the bigger picture of what Ricky Ross was involved in and why more people weren't held accountable?
Well, Ricky Ross understood a lot of what was happening at the time when he was being given overall billions of dollars of pure cocaine out of Central and South America. But only later he discovered in his trial, working with Pulitzer Prize winner Gary Webb, that he had been fully used by the CIA. And then in the late 1990s, even the CIA's Inspector General had to admit that they were involved in it. And so this is a fact that all of this is going on. And it wasn't just about destabilizing inner cities across the country and financing revolutions overseas, selling drugs in the U.S., buying arms on the black market with the drug money, and then getting it past Congress without government approval. It was also about the hundreds of billions of dollars a year in cocaine and heroin black market money also being laundered through large Western banks, who then lobbied Congress to expand the prison complexes around the country that they then own and sell stock in. So they sell you the drugs, and then when their police on the street catch you with them, they then put you in their prisons working for 25 cents an hour, displacing American workers and driving down wages. So that's the final piece of the equation. But this is all still going on, in fact, at an even greater level today in Afghanistan, and is now hidden in plain view.
There is actually one more piece to this puzzle, Alex. There's the media aspect. I know the story was first published in the San Jose Mercury News. You mentioned Gary Webb, a respected journalist. He wrote a series of stories on this, but then something strange happened. The story was largely attacked by other media outlets. Some aspects of it later retracted by the paper. What went on here?
Well, I was in contact with Gary a lot right up until the time he died. That's how I was able to interview Ricky Ross and others. His home had been broken into repeatedly. He was receiving death threats. He never retracted anything. The paper did, but he was writing a magnus opus, or a manifesto, with total proof of even more government drug dealing, and he's since been totally vindicated. And then he reportedly shot himself twice in the head, and he was clearly murdered because they knew his new book was coming out, which of course then never got published. The family and others were threatened, and so the whole thing went into the memory hole. And here we are many years later, 2011, and even Fox News' Geraldo Rivera goes out, interviews Marine Corps colonels who on national television say, we give the fertilizer to the Taliban, we help them grow the opium. It's over 12 times what its output was 10 years ago, pre-9/11. The entire Western world, Russia, Western Europe, Asia is being flooded. Over 90% of world opium production, then turned into heroin, is out of Afghanistan. And so instead of denying it, they come out and admit, well, if we don't let the Taliban grow it, Al-Qaeda will make the money. This is all a ridiculous, sickening, disgusting joke. You decriminalize drugs now, and the war in Mexico will end. These big banks that launder this money, they'll go bankrupt overnight, and all the poor drug addicts that are robbing homes so they can get their fix, crime will go way down. Areas of Northern Europe have tested this. The way you stop the CIA and the private central banks from running narcotics worldwide is you decriminalize, and this will bring these criminals down. If not, they'll continue to use the drug war to build a police state up worldwide. It just came out a few weeks ago that the DEA uses the drug war as a cover for spying worldwide. The
Alex,
drug war is...
Oh, sorry. I want to get to a couple other topics. So leave that one, and let's switch gears to one of our favorite topics, Glenn Beck. In the past, we've seen some eerie connections between his show and yours. Real quick, take a look.
If the global currency crisis unfolds, then inevitably you get, I guess, an alignment under a global world government, a new global currency, and a new world order.
That's not good. The guest just said that the dollar would collapse and replaced with some sort of global currency. I mean, have you checked the front page of the Drudge Report today? China is saying, hey, America, you really might want to rethink that whole healthcare thing. It seems pretty expensive. That is our bank. That's like your bank calling up and saying, hey, by the way, I think you guys are spending too much money. That's a pretty big house. If this bank doesn't give us any more loan, or if we burn this bank, there's nobody left. A one world government, a new world order, and the host doesn't even flinch. Apparently that's not even shocking to anybody anymore.
This, of course, was shown after a very similar monologue that you gave, on your show long before that. Now, Glenn Beck has a new website, The Blaze. I'm wondering, are you concerned that his people are going to be studying your website, Prison Planet, for ideas?
Well, Glenn Beck has gone from saying use the Army against Ron Paul supporters 3 years ago to now talking about the federal government staging terror attacks in the U.S. to blame it on domestic groups as a political pretext to crack down and declare martial law, similar to Hitler firebombing the Reichstag in 1933. And so more and more Beck is understanding that the cat's out of the bag, and they are analyzing much of what we do. You know, I have insiders inside his operation who told me years ago that he was studying what I was doing, and I was angry about it then because he was twisting it and making it partisan. I've got to say, more and more, I have to agree with a lot of what Glenn Beck is doing. I still don't trust him because of his flip-flopping, but he is telling the truth.
All right, you heard it here first. Alex Jones sees eye to eye sometimes with Glenn Beck. Radio host Alex Jones in Austin, Texas.